So, Yakov, tell me a little bit about your childhood, in particular, with regard to your religiosity before you converted to Judaism.
Well, I'll tell you, what happened is when I was born, my birth parents were not married, and this was back in 1960, when it was considered to be kind of a scandal to have a baby without being married. So my birth mother decided to give me up for adoption. And my birth parents, they were basically atheists, and their family background was, as far as I can find out, it was entirely Christian. Anyhow, so they gave me up for adoption, and the adoption agency placed me with a Lutheran family. The truth is that, let me see, I believe that, two of my biological grandparents were Lutheran. So I guess that was sort of the match between my biological family and my birth family and my adopted family. At least in those days, they tried to kind of, find like kind of a similar family, for the child to be placed with. And so my adopted family was Lutheran, and I was baptized Lutheran. And let me see. The thing is that we went to church until I was about 6 years old, at which time my adopted parents had some kind of a disagreement with their minister. I think they felt he was too extreme or something, and my adopted parents decided that they were no longer going to go to church, and they weren't going to give myself or my adopted brother. They adopted another child after me, who was 2 years younger than I am. They weren't going to give us any religious education, and they just thought that we should choose for ourselves what religion we wanted to be, and if we wanted to be religious or what have you. So that was the situation, like from about the age of 6. I basically, had, we had a Christmas tree in our house, and that was about the only connection that we had to any kind of religion. I just went to public school, and where, of course, at that time, religion was no longer taught in the United States, 1960s. And, I kind of just had nothing. I remember when I was a certain age, I think around maybe 8 or so, or 9 or something, I asked my adopted mother what religion we were, because some kids in my class were Catholic and some were Jewish, and she told me that we're Lutheran, and I had never heard of that, and so basically I didn't have any kind of religious education at all. It really, I began on my own becoming interested in religion when I was about 10 years old. I would say that's when my kind of curiosity about it started. And, I'm not sure if anything in particular sparked my interest. I do believe that the situation in my home, with my adopted parents, started getting worse when I was about 9. My adopted mother had a stroke at that time, and I think my adopted parents started becoming more concerned with her health and, her, I think, physically, and her emotional health. I think became a lot more shaky at that point in time. Let me see. I mean, when I was let me see. When I was 9, so my adopted mother would have been 41 years old. She might have been getting closer to menopause. I think not long after that also. She quit smoking also when I was 8. And I think that put her under a lot of stress. I believe that until then, she'd been a heavy smoker. Then she stopped cold turkey. Then, as I said, she had a stroke. I'm not clear on exactly the details of that. She was taking medication then for her blood pressure. Again, she was aging. She was getting closer to menopause, and what have you. And so the bottom line is that I think she became more angry, more abusive verbally, and a little bit physically. And I think my adopted parents just kind of lost interest in myself and my adopted brother to a certain extent as they focused more on her problems. So I think that maybe because of that, when I was about 10, I started turning toward religion and spirituality, and not necessarily Judaism though at all. I really first became interested in Christianity when I was at about that age, about 10 or 11, and I asked my adopted mother to take me to church a few times, and she did that. But my adopted parents were not interested in reconnecting with Christianity, and only my mother went with me, not my adopted father or brother. And she bought me a Bible. If I remember correctly, it was called the New English Bible. That included, what they called the Old and the New Testament. And I started reading that. And I started reading though, also books that were critical of Christianity. I remember reading a book by Bertrand Russell, I think, called Why I'm Not a Christian, and a couple of other similar books criticizing Christianity. So I ended up at around the age of 12 or so being an atheist, choosing atheism, and I was happy with that until I was 14. And then, when I was 14, I read a book about Judaism. I think you may find a post on my blog about this, because I wrote, when I was 17, I wrote a letter to my adopted mother about why I had converted. So that letter probably records my feelings, as I felt at that time. Now I'm telling you what kind of what I remember. You know what I'm saying? But I include that letter in my blog because that's actually more closer to when the events really happened and how I felt at that time. What my thinking was at that time of closer to my conversion. But I read a book by James Michener called The Source, which is a book about Jewish history and all that. I don't know if you ever have maybe taken a look at it.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? I actually know a man in Muncie who is a Baal Tshuva who told me that he also read that book, many years ago, and that got him, that kind of began his interest